Time now, my friends, to look towards that little box in the corner of your room, or the big box in the corner of your room, or the flat screen, or indeed your tablet, to talk about some Freeview movie recommendations of the week, courtesy of our main man each and every Friday, our Van Friday, Van Connor, one of the country's leading film critics. Van, good morning, matey. How's your week been? And you've seen a film this week that I've already seen, which is a bit of a first, is it not? You've seen the Ray Fiennes film Conclave, I think, about the papal elections.
I have. I never thought that one of the best thrillers of the year would be like a really talky mystery drama about choosing a new pope, but, it's not been the average year for films, and for the films this year.
One of those great kind of 80s, gorgeous, iconic women, Isabella Rossellini's in it, playing kind of Mother Superior, and it's one of the few films I can think of, Patton and Lawrence of Arabia, two others, with no kissing. There's no romance at all in it, because it's set in the Vatican, and they're electing a pope, and you wouldn't expect any kissy-kissy, would you, in that one?
No. Although there are, allegations get brought up and things of previous, decades previous kissy as part of the plot, obviously. But if you've read the novel, I haven't, and I gather from friends of mine who have read the novel that it's quite close, it's quite faithful. Yeah. It seems to have quite a fan base. This one, I think it's going to be quite well respected. That one.
Robert Harris has written some great books like Fatherland, and he wrote the Enigma book as well. So interesting film. But let's go now to your first Freeview film recommendation. What have you got for us for today, for Friday?
Well, I mean, far less classy than Conclave, obviously, is Homefront from 2013, directed by sort of workman director Gary Fleder, but written by Sylvester Stallone, of all people. It stars Jason Statham, with whom Stallone was kind of, relatively new friends at that point on the back of the first Expendables movie. And basically, he is a single father whose daughter gets into a bit of a kerfuffle at school with one of the other kids. And it turns out this kid's uncle is the local meth kingpin, played by a pre-cancellation James Franco. And this starts an all-out war between Jason Statham and Franco. But of course, what Franco, the meth kingpin, doesn't know is that Statham's no ordinary stay-at-home carpenter dad. No, he's an ex-DEA legend and has taken down 1 billion meth kingpins in his time. So you can sort of see where this is going to go.
So he's not a beekeeper?
He's not a beekeeper in this one. He's a carpenter. He's a carpenter in this one. One of Statham's many weird domestic job roles that he's had in cinema. You can see this tonight at 9 o'clock on Great Movies. It's a banger. It's a proper, good old school, mid-90s, cheap and cheerful, 105-minute, balls-to-the-wall action.
And does the Stath do an American accent in this one, do you know?
I don't think I think it's one of those where he's just doing the British accent and no one questions it. You know what I mean? It's like, no one ever questions. It's like, why is Arnie Austrian? Why does he speak like that? No one asks anymore, as it should be.
Okay, so it's on tonight then. We can see it on Great Movies, and you've got a clip for us, I think.
I have indeed. So this is the Stath and the Frank squaring off.
Here we go.
I don't want any more problems.
Okay. Anything else you're thinking hard about? Because I can smell the wood burning.
Yeah, if someone has an issue with me, keep it there. I don't want my kid involved.
Involved? I'm a little lost.
Well, let's get you found. You see the house?
Mm-hmm.
The house where we're living. The house that was broken into by some pathetic coward who stole a little girl's toys, a cat, slashed a tire. See, that's my house. Anyone who comes around again will find me standing in it.
Of course, I'd forgotten Bethnal Green is now the 52nd state of the USA, isn't it? So, of course, that's why he speaks like that. That's a cracking way to start it. Now, I've got something that I would never have seen, were it not for the fact that I've been blessed with 4 daughters, because they love this film, and they got into it probably 10, 15 years ago. It came out in 1999. It's a mockumentary, if you will, about a small-town beauty pageant where things start to go horribly and fatally, but very funnily wrong. Great black comedy. It's called Drop Dead Gorgeous. The cast is like a fantasy hen party. Kirsten Dunst, Kirstie Alley, your particular favourite, Denise Richards, Brittany Murphy, Ellen Barkin, Amy Adams. They're all competing for this scholarship or for some cosmetic prize or something. Very funny, very dark, and very, at the time, I think, unfairly reviled by the critics, who just couldn't see beyond, I suppose. They thought it was, I don't know what they thought it was. I mean, the reviews to this were fairly terrible. It is now, I think it's fair to, I think the word cult, and I did say cult, if you're listening, is overused. But I think it's fair to say this is a black comedy cult favourite, I think, this one. It's a great film, this, I think, Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a fan of it. I remember at the time in '99 when this came out, they really held back the fact that it was a mockumentary from the marketing. So until you saw the movie, you didn't realise it was that at all. It just seemed to be a straight narrative feature, and then you saw it and it had the mockumentary, and it was a bit jarring at first. But it's one of those that, like I say, over the years it has gained a whole new level of appreciation. I will be honest, I was 16 when this came out, so I was in this for the Brittany Murphy and the Denise Richards of it all. But and I was more than satisfied by the Denise Richards and the Brittany Murphy of it all, I have to say.
And I do remember, I treasure the memory of Denise Richards for her talent section, singing the Andy Williams "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" classic to, I think it's an inflatable Jesus on an illuminated crucifix, I think, if memory serves.
I believe that is in fact it. I mean, me personally, if I were her, I would have gone for any of her tricks and wild things the year previously, but would have been a very, very different film had she done that.
And also features a fantastic cameo from the 1960s TV Batman, Adam West. I once spent a day in his company in Los Angeles filming with him. One of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. He's fantastic in this film. 11:15 tonight on 5 Star. It's Drop Dead Gorgeous from 1999. Here's a chunk of the trailer.
Do you think that most people would say that teenage beauty pageants are a good idea?
Oh, yeah, sure. I know what some of your big city no-bra-wearing, hairy-legged women libbers might say. They might say that a pageant is old-fashioned and demeaning to the girls.
Yeah. What's sick is women dressing like men.
You betcha, Iris.
At the Mount Rose American Teen Princess Beauty Pageant,
I'm Leslie Miller. I'm Amber Atkins.
I'm Rebecca Lehman.
there are only 2 rules.
I aim to win.
Winning is everything,
I am the mother of the most talented contestant Montrose has ever had.
and nice girls finish last.
They wanted to see my room and film me for their movie.
They ask you to take your top off. Get the money first.
Ooh, we get a personal consultation with a makeup artist.
Excuse me, Miss Penthouse 98. Put your knees together. I could drive a boat show in there.
And in fact, one of the characters is destined clearly for a huge career in blue movies, I would say, as we used to call them back in the day. Great film that is. Drop Dead Gorgeous tonight, 11:15 on 5 Star. Give it a chance, folks. You will not be disappointed. It's a laugh riot. And what's your tomorrow recommendation? What's your Saturday film for us, Van?
So Saturday night at 11:10 on the Paramount Channel is a film I hadn't seen in a long time, and every now and again it pops back into my memory, and I mean to revisit, and this gave me the perfect excuse. So it's from 2007. It's directed by Peter Berg, who once upon a time was being set up to be like the next Michael Bay, and then he just went completely off the rails and made things like Battleship instead. It's called The Kingdom, and it is about an FBI unit that are sent to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to investigate. They investigate a terrorist bombing on the American embassy, I believe, and obviously find themselves in this complete cross-cultural situation. They're not given a lot of help from the local police and the local government, and they find themselves in a completely alien environment, doing what they do best, but facing resistance at every turn. It's got a great cast that includes Jason Bateman, Jamie Foxx, Jeremy Piven, and Jennifer Garner. It's an absolute banger. I believe it's filmed in either Abu Dhabi or Dubai. And the reason I can remember that is because, I don't know if you've ever been to Abu Dhabi or Dubai, they have very distinctive pavements that are about a metre off the height of the road.
Right.
And when they do the car chases, you can plainly see this because the cars are nearly always destroyed whenever they nearly hit the pavement. And so they double for Saudi, and you can tell this all the way through.
In fact, I must say, I saw this film first. I saw this film on a plane, and it gives you, without being at all boring, an amazing, insightful crash course into the history of that part of the world, doesn't it? It sets it up perfectly. And the end of it is, I found it incredibly moving, the kind of ambiguity, almost the moral ambiguity of the ending, without giving too much away. It's a fantastic film. I didn't even spot it was on, so fair play to you for spotting The Kingdom, because I definitely want to see this one again.
Like I said, this one, of all of Peter Berg's effort, this one veers close to the feel of a Michael Mann movie. Yeah. And you'll probably get that tone in the clip I'm about to play. So this is Jamie Foxx and the rest of his team, but Jamie Foxx asking the Crown Prince for assistance in allowing them to find this suspect in, quote-unquote, the Kingdom.
It's Paramount, it's tomorrow night, it's The Kingdom.
If you walk 3 kilometers from the compound, you will find the rooftop where the attacks were planned. I've seen that person in this room. Was born with it. Colonel Al-Ghazi. Everything that I'm telling you, Mr. Al-Ghazi told us while he was observing the crime scenes and protecting us. He wasn't even on duty. So I agree with you that instincts like this cannot be taught. Not to falcons and definitely not to same generals. I know you want him caught. We want him caught. So let us help you. America's not perfect. Not at all. I'll be the first to say that, but we are good at this. Allow us to help your men go catch this criminal.
Great film that is, folks. Overlooked little mini masterpiece, that one. Now, I've gone for a film I'm surprised... You've recommended this before. I'm surprised you didn't see straight away on this one. ITV4, tomorrow night, 10 p.m, The Rock. Not Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, with Sean Connery, quite clearly meant to be a kind of James Bond type character, former SAS, former kind of special forces guy who's been imprisoned in America for the longest time. You've got Nicolas Cage as a completely, a lowbrow but meant to be a chemistry expert or chemical expert. Alcatraz is taken hostage by one of my favourite actors, the sublime Ed Harris, a kind of rogue group of Marines who want to kind of destroy San Francisco. And it's basically a Michael Bay, Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer, I think classic. It's on ITV4 tomorrow night, 10 p.m. And a bird tells me that you have a party trick, do you not, Van Connor? I think you can recite this script pretty much verbatim. Have you got a favourite little exchange from the film you could share with us now?
My absolute favourite line in this is literally Nicolas Cage's delivery of the line, "Why don't we cut the chit-chat, a-hole? You almost got me killed twice and my jaw hurts like hell." I can recite the entire script to the Rock. This and Reservoir Dogs, for some reason that I cannot biologically explain or psychologically justify, I can recite the entire script of both of those movies. Cannot explain why.
Okay, now put you on the spot. If you were sent on a spaceship to Beetlejuice to be a kind of forerunner of human being, and you could only take one of those two films, which would it be for that whole journey? Would it be The Rock or would it be Reservoir Dogs? Bearing in mind you've got the script of both of them in your head.
I would take The Rock every time. I'm not gonna lie.
That's why I love you, man. That's an honest answer. Some, we love Reservoir Dogs, but it's a fantastic, mad, bonkers. But in its own universe, it's completely logical. This film, but it's completely balmy, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely... My favourite, I think I told you about this, when you picked The Rock, I think I told you this in text message. There's an entire car chase in the movie in which Nicolas Cage nicks a Ferrari and chases Sean Connery in a Humvee. And that isn't in the original script. Michael Bay insisted on adding that and took a pay cut to do it, adding his own Ferrari for good measure. So Nicolas Cage is genuinely driving Michael Bay's Ferrari in a sequence that Michael Bay himself is paying for at his own... And do you know what? To be fair to him, it makes the film. It's a good car chase.
And we think Don Simpson was the one of excesses and over-the-top reactions to Hollywood. It's almost 30 years old, this one was in 1996. It cost, I think, $60 or $70 million. Made almost $400 million. Bit of a cracker. 10 o'clock tomorrow night, ITV4, The Rock. And here, my friends, is the rather gravelly-voiced trailer.
His name is John Mason, British national, incarcerated on Alcatraz in 1962. Escaped in 63. There's no identity in the United States or Great Britain. He does not exist.
Secrets have a way of coming back to haunt you.
There's a hostage situation on Alcatraz. Hostage? 81 tourists. The Rock's a tourist attraction.
The one you train to defend you becomes your greatest threat.
A battery of VX gas rockets is presently deployed to deliver a highly lethal strike on the population of the San Francisco Bay Area.
And the one you abandon becomes your only hope.
You go talk to him.
Me?
Yeah.
Hiya. I'm an agent with the FBI. I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are. At least he got his name right.
Now, all that stands between a city and a disaster.
The power of this chemical is way beyond anything you can imagine.
That's why you're coming with us.
Is a man who's never seen combat.
You're a chemical freak.
I'm a chemical super freak, actually.
And another who's been out of action for 30 years.
And he's got a fantastic heavy metal head of hair in this, Sean Connery. In a parallel universe, he would appear in either Wayne's World or Spinal Tap or both as like the godfather of all roadies, wouldn't he? Because he's got that real roadie look about him in this film. Great movie.
Grunge, they call it.
Absolutely. He'd be like, the godfather to Kurt Cobain's children in a different world. That's The Rock. That's tomorrow night, 10 p.m. on ITV4. And my final recommendation is, if you're coming in very, very late on Sunday morning, you're getting up rather early, 20 to 9... Sunday morning, stay with me, folks, Talking Pictures TV. I'm recommending a black and white film from 1936, directed by Alexander Cole, a British film, with a script or screenplay by Herbert George Wells, the man what created War of the Worlds, the novel, and The Time Machine, all kinds of other films as well. It's called Things to Come, also known as Shape of Things to Come, and it's set mainly, there's two periods to it. There's 1936, and another war breaks out, and there's some cataclysmic disaster. This was before the atom bomb was thought of, but it's that kind of vibe. Then we go into a period almost of like tribal period when Ralph Richardson becomes this kind of despotic Genghis Khan type ruler. And then it goes 100 years into the future, which in 1936 was 100 years away. It's now for us only 12 years away into 2036, when we're all wearing pristine white togas and waiting for a space gun to launch us to the moon to start a new civilization. Only there's a rebellion brewing about that. It's a brilliant film in that the special effects for their time were groundbreaking. The script for its time was quite, forward-looking, talking about peace and the destructive capabilities of mankind. It's incredibly dated. It looks at times very daft. Some of the dialogue is just ludicrous. But if you love anything to do with science fiction or anything to do with cinema, you've probably seen this already. If you haven't, do yourself a favour. Set the record. You can whiz through some of it, but set the record for 20 to 9, Sunday morning, Talking Pictures TV, things to come. I mean, this is... It's regarded almost... It's a cinematic milestone, certainly I think for British cinema. And I know, for example, that Stanley Kubrick was an admirer of this film because, of course, it's got that sense of... I don't know, at times, this is what Hitchcock, I would say, called pure cinema. Beautiful to look at, but it's like Metropolis. The story of Metropolis, the silent movie by Fritz Lang and Theo von Harbour, terrible, mad story, but beautiful to look at and actually stays with you, I think, this film.
I've actually never seen this, would you believe? I've never seen Things to Come.
Well, you've got Raymond Massey as the kind of hero in different areas. They always thought in the beginning of the last century, they always thought the future would look like we're all living in ancient Greece or Rome with these togas kind of things on, but also everyone had access to dry cleaners, that nothing ever got dirty. But 2036 is going to be very different, I suspect, from ours. Whether it's better or not, tune in Sunday morning, 20 to 9, Talking Pictures TV, that fine channel, for Things to Come. And here is a chunk of the very 1930s trailer. Here we go.
2036 AD. You are catapulted through the centuries, whirled into the great unknown, into an era of glass cities towering to the sun, and a gigantic space gun rocketing passengers to the moon.
Is man never to rest, never to be free? Make the space gun the symbol of all that drives us, and destroy it. Now!
Whoa! And in fact, I'm now realising I'm sitting on the 17th floor of a steel and glass construction opposite a building that's twice the height of that, which even Alexander Calder wouldn't have dreamt of. That's my final recommendation, Sunday morning, 20 to 9. I know it's early, but set the record for it. Talking Pictures TV, Things to Come, with a script by H.G. Wells. What have you got for us to finish the weekend, please, Van?
One of my very favourite Scorsese movies, actually. It was, and he took this on as a sort of dare for himself. He wanted to see if he could do a remake. Originally, this was going to be directed by Spielberg, and Scorsese.
Hang on. This was going to be a Spielberg film.
This was going to be a Spielberg film, and Scorsese was going to direct an adaptation of a little novel called Schindler's List. And then the pair switched them round. They swapped. So Scorsese took the remake of Cape Fear, cast his good buddy Robert De Niro in the role of the villain Max Cady, an incarcerated murderer who I think he's guilty of assault, actually rape and assault.
But he gets out on a technicality, doesn't he? I think
gets out on a technicality and sets out for revenge on the prosecutor who let him down. Played here by Nick Nolte. Spielberg obviously went on to win every award going for Schindler's List, which would then arrive 2 years later, and this just entered the pantheon of one of the most iconic films of the early 90s, brilliantly parodied actually by The Simpsons. I studied this film at uni, and they made us actually watch the Simpsons episode because it was so close to the actual film.
I'm guessing you saw the original Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum then, didn't you?
I have indeed. And do you know what? Also a banger. There is no bad version of Cape Fear. So you can imagine my joy at learning very recently that both Scorsese and Spielberg are teaming up as we speak to produce an Apple TV series adaptation of this that's going to star Javier Bardem in the De Niro / is it Rob Mitchum role from the 1950s. He's going to be the new Max Cady. So alas, we have what to date is the best version. I've got a clip for you. So this is BBC Two, Sunday nights at 11 o'clock. I absolutely love this movie. I think De Niro is fantastic.
Terrifying film. He's terrifying in this film, and it's a terrifying film.
Really is, but also just the score, the Elmer Bernstein score, the great visuals, just the cinematography of it, the look, the feel, that very sweaty, deep South kind of atmosphere that runs through it, and of course a great supporting cast in the form of, for instance, Ileana Douglas and Juliette Lewis, and just an absolute banger.
And also, I don't know if he got an Oscar for, like, I don't know, it would be makeup, special effects, whatever. Because the tattooed body of Robert De Niro in this, yes. it adds a whole dimension to the character, but obviously he could spray himself clean at the end of every day's shooting. He didn't actually, I know he's a method actor, he didn't have his body tattooed for this, did he? But it looks like he did.
Well, to be fair, given how method De Niro is, and definitely was at the time, you have to imagine he kept it all going with the slick back hair and the cigar, and went and spent his nights sitting in cinemas annoying people, just for kicks, I would imagine. But I've got to say, I've got a clip for you in which he confronts his former attorney for the first time, and makes it clear that he's got an axe to grind.
You know, I've been in a real bad mood lately. It's a shame, isn't it? You know what you can do to brighten my mood?
No.
Get the hell out of here. I don't mean just this little town, I mean the whole goddamn state. I don't want to see you, I don't want to hear you, and I don't want to smell you. Now leave.
Yeah, are you my friend?
No, I'm not your friend.
Oh, because I thought maybe you were my friend, because I like to plan my comings and goings with friends. But if you're not my friend, you're planning my comings and goings, I'd call that presumptuous. In fact, I'd call it downright rude, because I ain't your porch baby, buddy.
Well, gee golly gosh, I sure am sorry I offended you, you white trash piece of
Ooh, I got the all over fidgets on that one. You really shaking me up. I'm shivering all over. Ooh.
Are you my friend? That's chilling, isn't it? It's like, do I amuse you? Do I laugh? Are you laughing at me? Oh, boy. Great films. And so, what have you seen this week, then, in your other life for the off-screen podcast you do?
Well, on off-screen this week, we will be talking about Conclave, obviously. We unfortunately have to also talk about Moana 2, which is one of the most direct-to-DVD feeling sequels I've seen in years, like since we actually had DVDs. It's Return of Jafar 2024. But what?
I think it was meant to be a series, wasn't it, originally? It was going to be a spin-off series, I think, for Disney.
It was going to be a Disney Plus show, and you can tell, but there's also a very, very good documentary out this week called The Contestant about Japan's first, major reality show in the late 90s. Yes. Oh, my God. That thing is twisted.
He was kidnapped, basically, and was going to starve to death unless he started winning prizes or something, wasn't he?
That was the one, Nasubi, yeah. Oh, my God, this thing is absolutely deranged, Paul. You'd love it.
Fantastic stuff there from our mates, Mr. Van Connor, of course, our Friday regular, talking Freeview film recommendations from me, Paul Ross, and from Van Connor, and we're live till 5. But for the moment, Van, go to bed, mate. That's a wrap.